October 13th, undoing an equation. In order to make sure that we have an understanding of how to make the order of operations work, we should attempt to use it. So we're going to see what happens to a variable when we do stuff to it and see if we can undo it as a lead up to what we're doing next. For example, in the expression 4 times the quantity x plus 1, the first thing we do to x is we add 1, because that's inside of the parentheses, and then we multiply by 4. So if we consider the opposite operations in the opposite order, we cancel out this multiplication first by dividing, and then we cancel out the addition by subtraction. Now we're given a specific number in place of x, such as 20, to practice using these opposite operations on. And for 20, if we divide by 4, we get 5, and then we subtract 1, and we get 4. Let's try them with some actual numbers. So what's done to x here? Well, we add 3, and then we multiply by 5. To cancel that out, we divide by 5, and then we subtract 3. So if we consider something like 40, when we divide by 5, we get 8. When we take 8 minus 3, we get 5. In the next line, we start with x, we subtract 5, and then we multiply by a negative 7. To cancel that out, we divide by a negative 7, and then we add 5. So beginning with 28, divide that by a negative 7, we get a negative 4. And we start with negative 4, and we add 5, and we get 1. Partially featured on the screen. The next line, we start with x, we multiply this by 3, then we add 6, and then we multiply by 2. So now there's a third step. To undo, we do it in the reverse order. So we start with the times 2, and we divide by 2. Then we move on to the plus 6, and we minus 6, and then we divide by 3. So if we begin with a number like 36 and divide by 2, we get 18. Then 18 minus 6 is equal to 12. And then 12 divided by 3 is equal to 4. Next line, we start with x, we multiply this by 2, then we add 4, then we multiply by a negative 2. We did the part in parentheses first, and within the parentheses, multiplication comes before addition. To cancel this out, we start in reverse order. So first we divide by a negative 2, then we subtract 4, then we divide by 2. So if we begin with 0, 0 divided by something is still going to be 0. But then we subtract 4 to get negative 4. And we take negative 4 and we divide that by 2 to get negative 2. Last one on the front of the page. We start with x, we multiply by negative 2, we add 1, then we multiply by 5. The reverse order of opposite operations, we divide by 5 with minus 1, and then we divide by a negative 2. So starting with 20, we divide by 5 and we get 4. We take 4 minus 1 and we get 3. And we take 3 and we divide it by a negative 2. And the negative floats to the top, and our answer is negative 3/2. On to the back. First thing that happens to x is we divide by 2, and then we add 1, and then we multiply by 4. So when we're canceling those operations, we divide by 4, we minus 1, and then we multiply by 2. So if we start with 32, and we divide 4, we get 8. 8 minus 1 is equal to 7. 7 times 2 is equal to 14. We start with x, we divide by 4, we subtract 3, we multiply by 8. There's the division, there's the subtraction, there's the multiplication. We undo these in the reverse order. And we apply these to a sample number, such as 8. 8 divided by 8 is equal to 1. 1 plus 3 is equal to 4. 4 times 4 is equal to 16. X divided by 6, and then plus 5, and then multiplied by a negative 3. So we can cross out the x there. And we divide by a negative 3 first, we subtract 5, and we multiply by 6. So if we start with 15, divided by a negative 3, this gives us a negative 5. Negative 5 minus 5 gives you a negative 10. Negative 10 times 6 is equal to negative 60. We start with x. The first thing we do is divide 9, and then we add 6, and then we multiply by negative 9, and then we add 1. This one had 4 steps. First cancel out the addition, then we cancel out the multiplication, and then we cancel out the addition, and then we cancel out the division. We start with something like 80, we subtract 1, we get 79. We divide this by a negative 9, and we're going to get a fraction already, so negative 79 over 9. We subtract 6, and it's kind of like subtracting 54 from this fraction, but we're already negative, so we're adding 54. Negative 134 over 9, and we multiply this by 9, cancels out, and negative 134 is the answer. Or negative 133, I think. Here we start with x. We're dividing by 3, we're subtracting 3, we're multiplying by 3, we're adding 3. To cancel it out, we subtract 3, we divide by 3, we add 3, and we multiply by 3. We start with 3, and when we subtract 3, we get 0. 0 divided by 3 is still equal to 0. 0 plus 3, we're back to 3. 3 times 3, here we are at 9.